Hi, I'm Mano from Bandwidth Blog, and today we're reviewing, somewhat belatedly, the iPad mini. Until now, it's been pretty difficult to get hold of an iPad mini in South Africa. You had to have special orders filled, you had to have a best friend, a Dion Wired, or whatever your method might be. It wasn't easy to get one. That is until about the last 2 weeks. So here we have it. As you can see, we have the black model here. Apple is kind of following what they're doing with the iPhone 5 right now, in the sense that the black model is like a black and slate color, whereas the white model is white and silver. So some might like the masculine looking black one, others might prefer the more designy, more chrome looking white one. We're happy with both either way. In terms of look and feel, the rear of the device is made from aluminium, which is incredibly solid and does feel a lot more high class than some of the other 7-inch tablets out there. On the front, it's standard iPad fare, so it's dominated by glass and all the controls look exactly the same as every single iPad before it, except for the little lightning jack at the bottom. The other big news, obviously, with the iPad mini is that it is smaller this time around. It's a 7-inch screen compared to the old 10-inch models. Well, not really 7.9 inch, and Apple went through a long effort to try and explain to you why 7.9 inch and the current ratio of the screen actually makes a bit more sense compared to something like the Nexus 7. The Nexus 7 uses a more 16:9 widescreen type look, whereas this kind of sticks to the old ratio. What we do find odd is that Apple has chosen not to stick a Retina display in here, meaning that the pixel density is nowhere close to something like the iPad 3 or 4 or something like the iPhone. So looking closely, you do actually notice pixels, very much like the old iPad 2. But because of the smaller screen and the same resolution as the iPad 2, it does have a bit of a higher pixel density. The other change is that the iPad mini actually now has a thinner border compared to the standard sized iPads. Until now, the wide border was there so that your thumb had some place to rest on as you're gripping this heavy device. But the iPad mini is a lot lighter, and Apple has done some software wizardry with it that it actually ignores your thumb. So if you're reading and you're paging along, it will actually ignore your thumb that's resting on the screen. The other thing to keep in mind with the smaller screen is also that the keyboard is a little bit smaller. But if you're someone who doesn't have an issue with typing with your thumb, it's actually very comfortable with this display. And in landscape, if you have small enough fingers, it's actually quite easy to type with. In terms of software, it's pretty much standard Apple iOS fare. So if you used an iPad in the past, or if you're an iPhone user, you will hit the ground running with this device. But because of the smaller screen, you sometimes notice that some software apps haven't quite adapted to the smaller buttons that it actually presents to the user. We found that some apps, like for example with overlays that have tiny little crosses that you click to take it away, you have to click quite finely on this device. Not a big thing, and we're pretty sure the software guys will catch up to this. The other disappointing bit is that on the inside, this device is very much just like the iPad 2. It has that same A5 processor on the inside, so apps would not launch as quickly as, say, an iPad 3 or 4 device. Then again, we never used this device and ever felt that, hell, this thing is sluggish, or I wish this app launched a little bit faster. Everything worked as just about every iPad before it. We staunchly oppose people who use their tablets for cameras, or the people who stand in a crowd holding up their tablets. But if you're one of those people, you can actually use this device without any problems. The back of the device has a 5-megapixel camera, and the camera on the front is a 1.2 megapixel camera that works great for things like FaceTime or Skype. The iPad mini does come in a little bit cheaper than the existing iPads out there. The 16 gigabyte Wi-Fi only model comes in at 3,600 Rand, where the LTE or cellular model comes in at 5,100 Rand, which is quite a steep jump. The thing we also don't like about the cellular model is that even though it is LTE enabled, right now in South Africa, there's not a single network you can use that on. We do, however, feel that that is more the network's fault, probably, than Apple's. Despite all its shortcomings, there's one thing that kind of blew me away about this device. Even though I have a modern Retina-enabled iPad in my bag, since I've had the Mini, I haven't taken that out of my bag once. So even though the screen isn't as good, the compact size might actually fit your lifestyle a lot better than one of the bigger, heavier, more expensive iPads out there. Overall, Bandwidth Blog gives this device 8 out of 10. We really like the idea of a smaller iPad, and despite its lower end components and specifications, it is really one of the nicest tablets we've used so far. For our full review, head on over to bandwidthblog.com.